welcome everyone to the 74th Annual Grand National Roadster Show. We're here at the Pomona Fairplex in Southern California, and right now I'm standing next to one of the cars that's in the AMBR judging. I'm with Alan Johnson of Johnson's Hot Rods, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Alan in a second because I'm going to ask him if he could tell us about this, and I'm going to call it the pink Roadster, but he'll tell us the real color because it's pretty outstanding. I mean, it is a crazy build. Now, you're no stranger to great looking hot rods. You're no stranger to all kinds of builds, whether it be the Riddler or here, but you find yourself this year at the AMBR competition with this little 32 Ford Highboy. Why don't you tell us something about it, because it is unique.
It is unique. We started, this was a Brookville steel body. We build the chassis. We're using shadow rods, frame rails. Pretty much everything else on the chassis is parts that we're building.
What do you have wrapped around the wheels?
We're running the Firestone rib fronts and dirt track rears, 18-inch on the back and 16 on the front.
Are they like a Coker style?
Yeah, it's a Coker reproduction of the Firestone cross-cut dirt tracks and rib fronts.
Okay. Now, there's no way you can talk about this car and not notice the color.
No, it stands
explain
out.
The owner.
It stands out.
Yeah, explain the owner and explain how we ended up with this color.
So the owner, Mekenzie Murphy, we've known her parents since before she was born and have been friends with the family for all these years. Mekenzie pretty much had no choice but to be a hot rodder. She's grown up in it.
Now, she's a young woman.
She's 19.
She's 19,
she's 19,
okay. So she's driving this.
This is her car.
Oh, man.
This is her car.
Okay.
And, you know, her style and taste with everything. Whenever her and her parents came to talk to me the first time about building a pink car, you know, Angie was a little more receptive than I was. And, you know, I was a little hesitant to start with because everything we were talking about, I couldn't get my head around it. And you know, after several times talking about the car and what we wanted to do, they got Gary Regal involved. So Gary started doing some renderings.
Yeah.
And when I seen the rendering of this hot magenta pink color with the black steel wheels, the black suspension pieces, to me the black and the flames manned the car up. I mean, it gave it the attitude.
Now you're calling it pink or magenta, but what is the color?
It's a custom color that we mix. I mean, it's Exalta materials, and she wanted this candy pink that we didn't want to do candy because of the difficulties with one of these cars painting everything apart and trying to do the match. And we probably sprayed 50 spray outs trying to do something that wouldn't candy, and we had no choice in the end but to do a candy with it. So Greg and Scott in the shop did a great job with that, getting everything to match up on the candy color. So.
Now, okay, so we've got the color on it. Now tell me something about the flames. It looks like it's just solid black. Is that a white or off?
The pinstripe's lavender. So we had to have Josh Shaw come in and do the flames. Josh, Josh is from the same areas as the Murphys are in Cincinnati. And
can we call those Ohio style flames?
Those are Ohio flames.
Ohio flames, yeah.
But Josh had did her pedal car, her stroller when she was a kid, so he had to do the flames on the car.
Now, I heard something that the pedal cars kind of gave some impetus to this build.
It did. I mean, the one pedal car, the pink that's in the flames on the pedal car was the color we had to match to get what she was after on this car.
All right. And you said it was a Brookville body sheet metal. What about the hood and the grill shell? Is that Brookville or?
The grill shell's Brookville. Hood tops are root lips. So this car, we stretched the wheelbase 2 inches on the car.
So we're looking at a 109-inch wheelbase?
Yep. And we do that on these cars to be able to run a stock firewall. So we pick up about 4 inches more leg room in the car versus a flat firewall.
Outstanding, yeah.
And then we also move the deck former back on this car 4.5 inches. So the doors aren't any longer, but the cockpit's got another 4.5 inches in it. And I mean, Meckenzie's 6 foot tall, her dad's 6'2", so trying to get them both in the car where they're comfortable and can drive the car and use it without being beat up at the end of the day.
You mentioned that the frame was shadow rods, basically the rails.
Right, the rails.
But then did you make, for instance, the little spreader bar that's got the peak, did you make that and then,
Yeah, I mean, so we're using one of our flat front cross members. We're using our Hollywood spring in the front of the car. The frame rails have been tapered. It's been pinched at the front, so we don't, we've got a tight fit to the grill shell. We don't have the hole between the hood side and the grill at the back. We've tapered the frame rails down to where they've got a little bit better flow coming forward. the V spreader bar to me just kind of matches the shape of the stock grill, doing that versus a straight spreader bar on the front.
Now, what's the grill shell?
It's the grill shell is Brookville.
Okay. Let me take a guess on the radiator.
Well, you got one guess, you'll probably get it right.
Okay, so we have our Johnson radiator that's hiding in there. Now, I'm looking at this and the headlights. Tell us about the headlights, the headlight stands. How did you do that?
Well, the headlight stands and shock mounts are integrated. That's a product that we have available for anybody to use. You know, it looks kind of like a stock piece maybe that Ford would have done to integrate both of them if Ford would have built a highboy car. I think that's cleaner than having a separate headlight mount and shock mount on the front of the car. Just have those two integrated.
Okay.
The headlights are Jesse Greening's pieces that look like a 33, 34 commercial, but the bezel's actually threaded, so you don't have the tab on the bottom, and it just fits.
Now, I'm looking at the laid-back windshield post. Is that our boy from California?
No, sir. This one is actually a straight windshield. So I've always liked the laid-back windshields that Rodwell was doing. I've got them on two of my cars. But on this one, we wanted to do something different, just to be a little more traditional. We wanted to keep a flat windshield. Okay. So new stanchions are cast to get that angle back. It's about 30 degrees over stock. And then we had to redo the whole cowl top, so that required the body line in the cowl to be reshaped where it's staying the same out on the end at the stanchions, but the center of it had to go back about 2 inches for the windshield frame.
Because of what you did with the post and the flat windshield, I have to believe, I see you have a top for this. I have to believe fitting a top to this car was a challenge.
It was a little different because nothing's on the same angle, so we had to do a new header for the top. We actually used rod tops irons, and then we modified those till we got everything to look like what we wanted it to on the bow sections.
Who did the top?
We did.
Okay, and now I'm going to say the interior isn't what I would have expected. The interior looks different than what I've seen. Tell me about where you got the idea for the pattern that's for the interior, and then tell me about it.
Well, it was a little bit different. I mean, Mekenzie wanted a traditional, roll and pleated interior, simple, but she also wanted something that a little bit different as well. And we got to looking at the new Bugatti, and that car has.
Okay, now we're talking about some tall cotton here.
Yep. But that car has a curved diamond pattern in the door panels and the seat, and then it transitions to just a normal pleat in the seat. So we had Gary look at that on doing the renderings, and to me it worked really well because it tied in the same shapes as the flames, and then also adding the white contrast stitch kind of brings the lavender pinstripe on the flames inside the car to kind of tie everything together.
Tell me about the dash and the gauges and the steering column and the steering wheel. What's going on there?
Okay. Well, the dash, it's Brookville dash, no changes to that. Okay. It's our instrument cluster. Okay. Something, to me, I've always thought that the one big gauge and the two small 2 1/8 gauges just didn't look right, so we did 2 5/8 gauges and then 2 1/8, so you're stepping down inside as you come across.
So it's a 6-pack of gauges?
It's five gauges.
Yep.
Classic instruments in the gauges, our dash panel. Steering wheel is a piece that we do that kind of a mimic off of an old late 30s Alpha that looks like leaf springs stacked and riveted together. The column drop's another piece that we manufacture that gets the column lower and gets it in a more comfortable position, but it still looks like a stock, Henry Ford column drop.
Okay, and let's go around here to the motor, and while we're walking over there, tell me about, now I'm going to guess that's your brake package up there.
Yes, sir, that's our Kinemont brake.
Tells me, is it a 4-inch drop axle?
This one's a 5-inch drop, 5-inch Pete and Jake's drop on this one.
Okay, and it's a drilled I-beam, and now we've got your brake package. Tell us a little bit about the brake package.
Well, that's something we did probably 10 years ago. I always liked the looks of the Kinemont brakes. I couldn't afford a set of the Kinemont brakes.
They're tall.
And I wanted something that was going to stop anyway. So we got an original Kinemont brake from John Mumford. It was nice enough to lend me one, and we kind of reverse engineered everything to where we could package a Wellwood 4-piston caliper inside there.
So you have probably like their Dynalite caliper, and then you must have a rotor. You must use the Wellwood rotor, a dual rotor.
It's a vented
rotor. Yep. Okay, and we're now looking here at the engine compartment, and I see what I've seen lots of times. although this has been detailed to the nth degree. I'm looking at a small block Chevy, and is that tri-power carburation or injection?
It's fuel injection.
It's fuel injection, okay. And you have, are those the Speedway Rams that you've got on the exhaust?
Those are the Speedway stainless steel ram arms.
Okay. And anything else about the motor? Is it a 350? Or
it's actually a 400 small block that
Okay.
Automotive Specialist Racing Engines, Keith and Jeff Dorton did for us. Same package we use in a lot of cars.
Yeah.
450 to 600 horsepower, depending on who it's for.
gee.
We
Okay.
felt like 450 was enough for Mekenzie to get her feet wet.
Oh man, they don't weigh anything. What do you think this is?
This car's
2,500?
about 2,350.
Oh my gosh, that is light. Now there's got to be a transmission in there somewhere. What do we got?
We're running a 4L65E electronic overdrive from Bowler.
Okay.
For her driving the car, she didn't really want a manual, and
Yeah.
for our use, that 4-speed from Bowler with electronic setup works better than anything else that we can use.
Oh, and I notice you have an external gas filler. So that our gas tank is what, a rectangular tank in the trunk?
Actually, it's in the trunk floor, so they wanted to maximize as much trunk space for when they start driving this car. The tank is actually in the floor of the car up so far.
Yeah.
Goes all the way to get to the back of the seat, all the way to the rear pan of the car. So we're really not killing
How many
trunk
gallons?
space.
How
It's
many
actually about 19 gallons.
Whoa, well that's more than I can use. You're going a long way on that. Man, this is just amazing. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening and watching our video today here at the Grand National Roadster Show. It's been our pleasure to spend some time with Alan Johnson and have him take us around his latest build. So Alan, thank you very much.
Brian, I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.